Hey, what's up, outies and innies, and welcome to a Nerdy Bunch weekly review for Apple TV Plus series Severance.
Severance.
My name's Dave, and joining me because he was accused of an unsanctioned entanglement, my host, Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
It was the innie. It was the innie.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't me.
We're here to talk episode 5, titled Trojan Horse. Mark, Helly, Irvin, and Dylan search for answers. Andrew, what do you think of this episode? Spoiler free.
I think they did a good job of keeping up the intensity. I don't think it slowed, which some shows do sometimes. You go through like these roller coaster reveals and then you kind of slow down. I think they kept going and definitely equal questions answered and questions created, right? But I think I got a lot. And when I say a lot, I just mean like a lot of interaction between the outside world, inside world people in ways that is just fleshing out the world, which I'm really enjoying. So like definitely a lot more curious as to a lot of specifics. But yeah, I've been watching the breakdowns and yeah, those videos where they're like, oh, in case you missed, I feel like I missed everything. There's there's so much like subtext and detail and just amazing Easter eggs that I just can't wait to talk about and spoiling. But yeah, I thought this was a solid episode, just engaging, engrossing, just yeah. Anything I say is a spoiler, but fantastic stuff.
I really like this episode, and last week we got what some might think is a filler episode, but what it does a good job of making that filler episode relevant because of the events of that filler episode kind of continue into this episode, and a lot of things of the season so far that have been building up seem to be now coming together. Right,
Yes,
we're not quite at
exactly.
the finale, but we can see the
You
finishing
can
line.
see the light.
Yeah, exactly. At least for the season, not the end of the show. And a lot of things come to play. Some questions that I didn't think the show would ask now, they started asking. And even there's some characters that I thought, when you kind of, we've been watching a lot of these shows, we do a lot of reviews, so your brain starts thinking, you know, ahead. Like there's tests when you read a sentence where some of the letters are missing, but you can still read the
Yeah.
sentence. That's how I
Hmm.
look at TV shows sometimes. I can
Yeah.
see where it's going. So I start thinking, okay, which characters are going to side with who's going to switch
Hmm.
places, who's going
Yeah.
to, and I was sure I knew who was going to do certain things, but now after this episode, I'm like, huh, maybe I was wrong about that person.
Hmm.
Or maybe I was wrong about the trajectory of that person. And
Yeah.
I'm looking for, and now I'm like, okay, this changes things a little bit. And it's subtle
Hmm.
things that aren't necessarily part of the overall narrative that inform these changes for me, which is what I like. Anyway, let's go into full spoilers. Um, Let us start with Helena, her meeting with at Lemon HQ.
Yes.
She's been told basically shit didn't go as great as you wanted to. They
Hmm.
almost killed you, but we're so close.
But
Do you want to go back in? Just be
but did you
seven.
die though? Did you? did, did you?
Here's my question for you about her. Because there's parts of us we talked about in the past where she may be jealous of some of the experiences that Helly's been getting, and she wants to kind of feel that because
Feel
maybe
alive.
her,
Hmm.
but because maybe her own life is very sterile and held back. But she seems to have a real disdain for,
All of a sudden.
for seven
Yeah.
people.
You
You know,
said you weren't saying all that last night, Helena. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, right? Like all of a sudden, they're fucking animals. I was like, do you mean they're fucking animals? Like you're an animal? I mean, sorry. I mean, you know what? I ended there. That's what I have to say about her because it's so funny when it's convenient, right, for her to for her to call them animals. But when she's there, you're right because there was no point when she was there where you got the sense, ew or like cooties, like you guys are gross. Like she was in the Kool Aid while she was down there, and it was the extreme event of almost drowning or being drowned or whatever that would be called that woke her up. But yeah, she. I don't know. I feel like I want to see even more of outside Helena because we haven't seen her outside of this incident, right? And this is incident is kind of her reaction to this quite alarming thing that her Amy, broke out. Which I don't know.
I mean,
That's crazy.
she's always been killed twice.
Yeah.
Like previous season
Already.
by her Annie tried hanging
Yeah.
herself. And then
Yeah.
now when someone tried to drown us, I understand where she's coming from in that
That's
regard.
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
"You're not the one in there
Mm.
almost killed. I almost got killed by them." Um,
Bec-
but gone.
no, even though I say like, I mean, she really got her head dunked. I mean, that's if there's ever a way to like be like, yeah, those dudes. I mean, that was it.
And what's interesting is that at first I thought when we were discussing this, I thought she was going to be the character that kind of breaks things down for Lumen, sides with the innies,
It is like
and
it's
and is
not
the
that
one
bad down there.
you're right,
Let's give them a shot.
and is the one that kind of sets things in motion to kind of help them,
I feel
I
like the
don't know.
opposite even. I feel
Yeah,
like she might even be like, "Listen, we're being too nice. You know what? Switch up. Forget the watermelons. None of that. No more deviled eggs."
though, just to play a contrarian here, when they asked her to be severed, go back severed again, she was like, "No, no, 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 I'll pretend again." You know, is that because she still wants to experience it? Because why not? If you hate it so much, why not go severed so you don't experience it?
That's what I'm saying. Mark did a good job or whatever. Yeah. Because why else would you? It's so convenient. It could be fine. Let's play two things. It could be let me go back and be in control because that's easier, or
Mhm.
it could honestly be fear that I don't know what happens if I give that other lady
Mm.
controls again, and I've only been killed twice. I'm not falling asleep again and letting them take over. So I could see that as well because she definitely had a very eye opening experience
Mhm.
of what life is like in there and what a rude way to just come back out of it. So honestly I could see it being a little bit of both, right? But what I found interesting about that the same convo with the segues is just this whole father narrative, like, is it the Führer? Like when she keeps saying father, I wonder if there's no way her and Dermerd, or is that his name, are siblings, is there? Or is
Drummond.
that
I mean,
just what is that just what he's called? Is he like call me father in the office?
well, no, I mean, that's the thing,
Uh,
because I was gonna ask you as well, because we know for a fact she's an Egan, right? So when she's talking
yeah.
about father, she's being literal, but he says
It's a-
father as well. So
Yeah.
the question is he also an Egan, or is he saying father in the form of leader?
That's my thing. Like, is it Hail Hydra
Yeah,
father,
right.
right? Or is this just because I never I hadn't considered him to be a sibling or even a cousin or whatever. It might not be direct or whatever until that moment, which
Because
I
he
found
seems to have
interesting.
power.
And not just power, but I feel like for somebody to have the gall to be the one to be able to interrogate her, right,
Mhm.
has to be on her level or higher, right? There's no way an underling could do that
And he has seems to have a direct communication with father, because he's
with
like,
father separate from her, right?
yeah.
So father tells him things that you don't
Mhm.
know,
Does
right?
father
So
approve? He encourages it. Ooh.
yeah,
Oh, oh.
and the fact that like for example, like I would call BS if I didn't trust the person that was delivering that. Like
Uh,
that's a lie. I would tell him to tell me himself, right?
eh.
But like his word is pure authority, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So I don't know. He seems like yeah. I feel like he might be blood. That would be interesting.
And well, and if he is blood though, he can't be older sibling, he has to be younger because she's next in line. If
Yes,
we go by
correct.
age, right?
Yes, because
She's
the man would have been the obvious choice for these traditionalists.
but at the same time, again, if you look at the subtext of things, last episode she was making fun of the story and things like that. And I think she was genuinely making fun of the story
Mm,
in that sense. So it seems, but it also seems like if Drummond is family, he seems
family, yeah.
more in the juice, like really
Yeah,
in the juice
yeah,
than
yeah,
she
yeah.
is. Like
Yeah, like
really, really in juice. Like he would say things like he's the one that like when she says praise Kier, it almost like she's being sarcastic. But when he
she's like,
says it,
I'd say
right, he says he's
it.
in.
He's like, I have the tattoo right here.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go with that call. I feel like family. I feel like
And we get a
this
couple of things
blood.
again. We don't have the answers here, but I just want to mention them. He mentions a couple of things like the obligement procedure, schedule one for later. The hell does that mean? What is that?
And the fact that he can he can request her, but of course, she still shows her power because she's like,
Mm,
no, I'm fine.
mhm.
It's still a like, certain level of respect, Um, but like that even made me think like, what is that clearly not pleasant procedure for her to be like, please no. Like those are some of the things I talked about in the beginning. Like
Mm.
I feel like the world is gaining more color as to like even on the outside. Again, you're right. Lumen is a company. Like what else do they do? What are their other products? Could I see, how do they have like a retreat end of year for all the branches and then make them all forget? Like what else goes on over here? What's paternity leave like?
Mhm. They let us know that they're very close to completing Cold Harbor. I think they had 80 something percent,
81, if I
81%.
remember
They're very
correctly.
close, and so
Hmm.
she has to just suck it up and make a sacrifice, which is
Yeah.
very much appreciated by the board. She goes back down, and this is where Helly comes back. And I love what they do here because it's the instant, like we knew that it's been Helena the whole time, but
Yeah.
the way the reaction here, it's like, oh shit, we had not seen Helly this entire season.
Yeah. I actually forgot that
Right.
where it's like, oh my gosh, let me tell you, which made Mark's behavior like even worse. Cause it's like, bro, come on, fill her in, man. Come on, man.
And she sees Miss Huang, like, who the hell is that?
Like, it's so funny having the like kid reaction that we all did us all over again and fresh. Oh my
But
gosh.
again, I just the different layer. What I like about these scenes when they're arguing back and forth, everyone's going through these emotions, right?
Mhm.
Dylan's been is upset because he's trying to find out what's happening to Irv. Right? Helly's trying to ask Milchek what happened. She took my body, my whole body. What's going on?
Mhm.
She's feeling
Mhm.
used, and then Mark, he's going through his emotions, and we'll come back to this because at first I was like, "Damn, Mark, why are you so cold to her?" I understand the Mark's
Mhm.
been hurt; he feels used as well. He even says later, maybe she still is. He's not
Mhm.
quite sure that this is Helly because how
Mhm.
does he? How do you know? He even says,
Which fair enough, man. Like I kind of get that. I too be like,
like, I don't know. He even says, I guess I don't know you.
yeah.
And it's shit. Do you really know someone if you only know them at work?
And still, like what, 2 weeks? I mean, I don't know the time, but it's not like Dylan Irv, who he's known. She was still relatively new, so it's a lot of, yeah. Like I get it from his angle. It's just like, listen, I can't even say that. What is it? I don't know who I put my stick in, man. He's like, I
So
don't know who you are.
at the same time, because at the end of the day, when you look at it from the perspective of his perspective, he was used by Helena. Like,
Completely.
completely used, she was completely used by her,
Yeah.
and so ho and he believed that that was Helly. Why would I believe this is Helly? And he knows that
Yeah.
Lumen, because he even says, they're watching everything. Everything.
Hmm.
There's nothing like everything we do that we can't keep any secrets. He's not watching
Yeah.
everything. But on top of that, we'll go into that later. What I like, because in my second viewing, I thought that was just the issue, but I realized on top of that, I think his demeanor is a result of reintegration. He's bringing in
Yeah.
m
The
Audi Malt's
personality of
personality,
outside,
'cause Audi Malt's very
who's a
blurred.
grouch. Yeah, who's
Exactly.
a complete grouch. And that's a good call because I feel like this almost might be like what you said Spider-Man's gonna be like, where at the end it's like after rewatch, because now I know that because you're right. I see, and they've been doing that, right? The little clips of Miss Casey here and there.
Mhm.
Even last episode, right? After in this post not clarity, he then saw Miss Casey. Right. So the reintegration is definitely having effects. And sorry, on that, it's a tangent, but not like what is that little milky thing he drinks? What is
I
that
think
little
I think it's something that you have to do to kind of make the process work.
yeah,
Yes.
keep your brain from feels like imploding on itself or
Yeah,
something. Just
sometimes. Either way, it looks
every,
disgusting. I wish,
yeah, every time I'm like just
like, if you told him he'd have to drink that before he did it, would he have done it?
like that might have been the final straw. Like
I don't
pain,
know.
recovery fine, but then you have to drink this like worm looking baby milk juice.
Ooh,
It's like
don't even, and it looks like it's full of textures.
yeah. Oh no, 100%. Those are the worst textures.
Uh,
Like it's like I don't know, slimy coconut, just strands. Ugh.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
Um, but yeah, just with Mark and Helly in that moment, what I like a great storytelling where you just understand everyone's perspective, right? No one's wrong. She's asking all these questions and understanding, like, to Mark, look, yo, we were good.
Yeah.
We had a
Yeah.
great moment. Why are you being weird with me? I don't understand. And you
Yeah.
understand her frustrations because it's not her fault.
Yeah.
She didn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
It-
Not at
it-
all.
she's just existing. I liked in the shot with the two of them. Again, this episode and the show as a whole has some great visual storytelling, right?
Mhm.
There's another one I'll talk about later, but this one I loved. She's talking to him in the bathroom, and you can see him, but you can see her reflection in the mirror,
Her
so you
like
see her
double
twice.
reflection.
So
Hmm.
it's just
It's
great.
like a
We're
little
talking,
sandwich.
and I love that because you're talking about both versions, and I thought
Hmm.
that was great. And I just I love kind of her complaints and going unheard and feeling like she's alone. I'm curious to see what her direction is, right? Where
Mhm.
where she takes her narrative from here. But before that, Dylan shouts out, "Did you tell him that he found his wife?" I think that's what he says, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, you tell him your wife's
Uh,
Miss Casey. You tell him
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
wife's
No,
Miss
tell
Casey?
your wife's Miss Casey, and
Yeah.
that kind of reveal. I'm like, "Ooh, I bet you hadn't told him about that you had sex too,
Right, it's just it's like so it's such a layered, awkward conversation. It's like I don't know how to say this, but I need to tell you and you something that me and me did.
But I thought it was you, but it wasn't."
But it wasn't you, but what was me, just not you, but I thought it was you.
Mhm. Um, Milchek tries to say that finally answers Dylan and says, Irv has been taken on a elongated cruise.
Yes.
Which I like, and he's like, no, he's dead. He wants to do like they want to do a typical, the typical what they have, retirement party, as we
Wow, I
saw
see that.
previously.
Yeah.
But Dylan's like, no, let's do a proper funeral.
Funeral.
Yeah, they actually set up a funeral. What did you think of this funeral that Mark was like, as long as it's quick so it doesn't take all day? Ah,
So on that one, I think that's why I agree with you on the reintegration thing. Cause I was like, oh yo, Mark, that's cold, bro. Like the way he answered in the office when Joe was like, hey, let's do it. He's like, yeah, whatever, sure, if it's quick. Like, oh, any Mark would never. At least he would have a little more color. Secondly, oh, Miss Huang, hilarious. The conversation
no,
with
beforehand.
Merche about said funeral.
That wasn't a question. That was an opinion, unsolicited. Like, and what I like, a question we've had because Miss Huang, she says something along the lines of, why are you doing this for them? You're making them think they're people. I think that confirms, at least to me, that she's also someone who's not severed,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's just like the rest of the high level
And she
staff that
said them, yeah.
they're not
Which
severed.
makes her employment even more interesting.
Very interesting, and it plays up with theories that we've all been talking about in terms of
It's
what this
an
made them do.
older brain in a smaller woman.
I really think these last few episodes have really pushed the idea that this they're dealing with it's basically like we talked about before. We mentioned this a long time ago as a joke, but I think it's
Yeah.
very true. This is quote unquote like a low key a prequel to Altered Carbon. Like
Right. Yeah.
they're going through the stage of trying to recreate human bodies and cloning
Yeah.
physical bodies, and they'll
Yeah.
find a way to also put minds in said
And
bodies.
so, yeah,
Like I think previous episode always saw those kind of images of like the replicas of them in the snow wilderness.
the ones pointing.
I think that's an early stage.
Yeah. It's like
Offset,
the early one. It's a little
right,
bit of Westworld, a little bit
right.
of Altered Carbon.
And even the little pieces that we get of things, like maybe, Cold Harbor is something to do with the brain, and because he was close to Gemma, he knows her enough to kind of be able to create her personality, right, to make it
Yeah.
work, right? Maybe Miss Casey that we've seen is one of the advanced clones. That's not Gemma,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And even things like we're jumping a bit, the opening scene where we see them walking down the hallway, we see the guy pulling the tray,
The
whistling
traveling to
uh,
the
in O&D department,
towards the expert hall, whistling the tune,
right? He's
catchy
carrying
tune.
dental equipment. Like, why dental equipment? Is that got to do with, you know, the
That's what I think that
creating
specifically, like, I don't know. Because then it also, this is why I hate this show, because it gets me overthinking. Because I was like, teeth. Isn't it? I'm starting with all those, like, cop shows and how, like, they always use teeth to, like,
right?
identify people, even if everything else is gone, you can kind
Yeah,
of identify people, I think, their teeth. And I was like, is that
yeah.
connected? Is it the DNA? It's like,
And
stop.
also, why were the two ladies? I think Frances is one of them. Is her name Frances? Is that her name? I forget.
Who is this?
No, not Frances. Yeah, Felicia. The two women that
All
the
right,
the the
Felicia.
the, the unknown, unseeing. We don't even see his face. The great shot tracking shot, moving side by side. We don't see his
Mm-hmm.
face. But when he comes up to the ladies, Felicia being one of them, is it just me or did they seem like scared and like
Mm.
awkward? Like they're just sitting there, like, yes, sir. Like almost like
Almost
holding
like
their
the
breath.
Grim Reaper is here.
Right, right. I
Like,
just
don't
thought
let him look at you.
I thought that was very interesting. Or back to the funeral. I loved Dylan's speech. What did Milkshake say it? Sweet with his usual dash of
Sweet
salt.
with a little dash of salt.
It's
Usual
hard to
dash of salt.
pinpoint a favorite Irving story. For the least fun guy in the world, he's really fun. He put the dick in contradiction. One time he was pissed at me for watering down the toner, so he put toner in my water cup. He stopped me before I drank it though. He just wanted to make a point, not to harm me physically. But I did accidentally take a sip of it later because I forgot he said that.
So
And I love
oh
he asked me for
Jesus.
help near the end and I didn't listen. And in his final moments, he could have been totally justified in telling me to suck my own but he didn't. Yeah, he was awesome. I miss him.
Hmm.
And I feel like what Milkshake says that it was sweet with a touch of salt is
Yeah,
perfect way to
usual
describe
salt. It was exactly what that was.
it. That was actually a great, great eulogy.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
I think I'll always appreciate the friendship that Irving and Dylan had
oh,
in this show. I doubt we'll get it back in this capacity. They may, in my crazy world, I see them all existing outside or
mhm.
permanent or TBOs, whatever that thing was called. But I really enjoyed their on screen bromance and just being. It's fun to see people so like how would I explain it like just dedicated to a specific cause, right?
Mhm.
Like they both agreed to be here and work and just be the best work buddies, right? And I really enjoy that.
One nice touch I liked. Again, this show does a lot of subtle symbolism, right?
Mm.
Paintings of the background, characters' actions, everything is with purpose. He
Yeah.
talks about, I didn't listen to Irv when he asked me to. And maybe I'm looking too much into it, but did you notice when he's eating the watermelon head, he's eating Irv's ear?
No.
I don't know if that's something. I should have
Exactly.
listened,
Mm,
you know,
hmm
unless he's eating. I don't know if that's symbolic or not, but that's kind of how
Interesting.
I read that. Um,
But at least he listens to the end. I mean, just to finish the Dylan and Irving,
that's what I was going to.
because
Hang in
you
there.
know,
Hang in there, and he
and it's so
finds
funny.
note.
You know those moments in shows when you know what's about to happen. I'm like, it's always fresh. Where you're like, oh, this is it. Yes. And so it was nice to see that, and I guess this is my thing with this show. Anyways, we're definitely like the way I've been describing it in my head is like the full map is being painted, right? So
Mhm,
it's not necessarily like I'm understanding more of any one specific story, but like I now understand this whole world that they live in.
mhm,
And I just wanted to, because Dylan's been a rebel from the start. Dylan has his outside lady he wants. Dylan now has a map to the export hall. It's just like I see, I really see Dylan getting out, right?
mhm.
Dylan Innie is
Well,
somehow
also,
getting
he
out.
he spent the least amount of time outside as well. It makes sense for him.
And has a picture now almost
Mm,
mocking him
mhm, mhm,
of him holding the two switches. That
mhm,
picture was hilarious.
mhm. Um,
So yeah, I just expect him to get out. That's what I have to say.
I wanna jump forward a bit to
Yes.
because this connects with Dylan to Irv and Bert. Irv's talking to someone mysterious on the payphone,
Yeah.
and, we'll come back to that, and then Bert meets him. We finally come back to because Bert's like,
Finally
"You were knocking on
confront
my door.
him.
I wanna know why you were knocking on my door that
Yeah.
time." And I was like, "So do I."
Yeah.
At the same time. 'Cause I find it interesting when he's just like, yeah, but my husband thinks, we had something, so maybe we should
Yeah.
come for dinner." I was like, "Oh."
So it's just like this is not gonna end well. But
And he's
that's
like, I
how
like how
people
he
get
calls his husband
murdered.
Fields. Fields knows. Like as if like
Y-
you're supposed to know who he is. He's like Fields. I
Anyways, I'll forgive you, old man.
had to cancel our trip to Milwaukee. But here's my question for you, because I have a theory. My theory is because the question is who is of talking to, and I don't think it's someone we haven't met. I think it's someone
You
we
don't
have
know.
seen in some form. Here's my theory. I could be wrong, but hear me out.
Miss
What if?
Cobell.
No, actually, maybe. Maybe I could see that because she's been quiet for a while, so I could see her using him. But I think Ragabi. What if Irv, between what we've seen in the seasons, got
Reintegrated.
reintegrated, and that's why he's making these phone calls? Because he even says something along the lines of they know what my innie was up to. How do you know what they know? What your
How
innie was?
do you
How do you
know
know what your
that
innie
they
was up
know?
to?
And why does that person care about that information
Yes. How do you know
or
what your innie was
understand the
up to?
context? Hmm.
Unless you are resevered. I mean, reintegrated. I don't know. Maybe because he's get either way. He's getting information about what's happening
Yeah.
inside. Right. So either someone's passing a message or he is the mole himself and he was reintegrated because even Ragabi was pretty sure about like, no, 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 fix this, the process. How do you know that you fix the process unless you've successfully done it? And the last time we saw, it wasn't successful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that dude did.
I'm curious, was Irving reintegrated?
Especially because it would kind of connect the, him drawing repeatedly,
And
the
even like
export hole.
and then even starting being the one that notices that that wasn't Helly and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, you know? And just because we talked about how his switch I mean, we know a lot of that switch has to do with the fact that Bert was let go, so to speak,
Mhm.
retired. But what if there's more to that? You know, the same way we see some changes in Mark with his reintegration, maybe it's
Yeah.
showing us that Eva's been reintegrated this whole time. I don't know, that's
Mm.
just a theory of mine.
Another thing I'm also curious about just on that is what if is it possible to like, for example, let's say he was not reintegrated, but is there another person that reintegrates? I mean, this is just a theory for no reason because I'm just wondering why this lady is the only person that understands how to reintegrate, right?
Well, because she used to work for them. I think they
No,
all
no, I get it, but my point is in all of the Severance land, she's the only one. Who knows? Maybe there are others.
yeah. I mean, so
Maybe some
far,
people done himself.
I think it's less she's the only one who knows how to do it, but more so she's the only one who was once a Severance employee, clearly high level because she knows stuff,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
is fighting back, right?
Fair enough. It's a very unique. There's
Yeah.
a lot of uniqueness to her
Mhm,
in all of those aspects.
mhm.
I love
Um,
it.
I did like during the funeral when, Miss Huang got upset that she couldn't play her theremin. She's like, "But I
I,
practiced."
I really want to hear her play too. It's probably the one time we've seen some sort of like non-stoicy emotion from her.
Yeah, but I think that's also kind of like why she's also giving him shit as well, later.
To be fair, yeah, she's still a little upset because
Um,
that's a question.
da, 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 da.
I
Oh,
mean, speaking of him, we
I was
haven't
gonna
spoken
say
about
yes,
his performance review,
Milchek's performance review, but before
which
that,
please fill out your lunch menu.
he, I love that. It's like if it goes
It's
over,
longer than 4 hours.
we will stop
Lunch
the
will be
lunch.
provided, but you must have picked before, or
Yeah,
however it was said,
he's like, hopefully this won't
And
take
yeah,
too long.
yeah. And Mercy was like, "Yeah, we fine." Like, sir, please fill your order.
Can I tell you that was a great. That's how you do fantastic exposition to let us know the audience, right? You don't say other stories be like, nope, this is going to take forever, so do your lunch menu. No, you just say do your lunch order, and it
Sure, it's
tells
like
you
I'm
everything,
not raising my voice here,
right?
boy.
But before that, we have a great moment again. I think you and I have talked about this show acknowledging things like race in its narrative, rather than just showing it's there. We're actually having the narrative stop to address it,
Mhm.
which I love. Just asking Natalie, like, I like the thing, but I had some complicated feelings about that racist piece of shit they gave us. How do you feel about that racist piece of shit?
He's like, just to check that I still have my black card. Can you let me know? Am I tripping or am I tripping? Her face said it all, though.
Yeah, her usual big smile wasn't as big.
No, no, it wasn't big smile. It was
It was giving me some Get Out vibes.
yeah, it was a man. Don't get me in trouble, bro. I don't need this
They're
energy.
watching.
Not, no,
They're watching us.
not today.
And this is why I say, we'll carry on with his review in a second. This is why I said earlier in the spoiler free segment. I think Milkshake is going to be the one that helps them. At first, I thought it was going to be Helena turning sides, but I think they're setting us up for Milkshake to turn sides because he's not a bad person. He's just trying to do
Mhm.
a good job. Like
Yeah,
even things like doing the retreat, that was his idea. He was trying to make things better and work for everyone. He
yeah,
gets penalized for it. Right?
yeah.
I don't think he's actually like drank the Kool-Aid as opposed to just I just want to do a good job,
Yeah,
good at my
he's
job.
not he's not a drone or just going to do whatever. He actually has empathy inside of him and would rather not see people. Even like again the funeral, like you said, because even Miss Wang is like, I mean, bro, what are you doing? Even I thought about it for a second, like,
Yeah.
nah, fuck a funeral, right? But he just really cares about keeping them, and he wants to do a good job. And I think the Drummond, damn, I'll
Drummond.
never get right. Really got to inside his head by doing that whole you imagine you be the most historic person to help us accomplish whatever this cold harbor is. So like I do really feel like you said he's just like just hang in there, like we've dealt with worse. Just
Mhm.
just hang in there. You'll be number one. You be just like he's willing to endure anything, but he's not necessarily going to change his own morals. Okay, sometimes, sorry, I think about the fact that Dylan bit his arm, and I'm like, listen, every time I see Dylan, I be giving him evil glares, like, don't you this, don't. So yeah, he's definitely a nice guy, and I could see him being one of the turning points for this any outie war.
I really think I think he is. I think because again, I feel sorry for him because he can think about it. He's one of the only ones that who's on his side,
No,
right? Right.
absolutely no one.
He has no one on his side really, because again, the innies think he's just a bad boss who's kind of the representation of
The
Lumen.
outies too.
Yeah. Yeah, and then all the other people, they kind of don't really treat him like who he thought Natalie would be on his side, and she's like, it's like, I can't help you. So I'm curious to see where he goes. And shit, clearly Miss Huang's not on his side. She lodged a complaint against him. It's not said it was her.
Yeah.
Who else is making the complaint? He uses too many big words.
That's the sub point.
He the used the
He used a
paperclip
big word right
incorrectly.
after.
Paperclip incorrectly.
He used the reverse side of the paperclip. Probably one of the funniest things I've heard in a while. Yeah. That's like,
And
wait, reverse? How could
and
you?
he's the one that we know that it was his idea to bring in that new team we saw in episode 1, and that failed. So he's getting blamed for that. And of course, the outdoor excursion that brought great risk and harm to the Egan name.
I mean, again, I like Milkshake, but like, performance review wise, I hear them, right? I like, yeah, what? Yeah, listen,
It's true, but
it's just like,
it's
as
like
a
years ago.
business,
It's like years ago blaming you know the new president for the actions of the previous president that you're cleaning up, right? Because
uh,
a lot of this stuff is him cleaning up.
yeah, for sure. I'm just trying to keep people happy, but it's just like, yeah,
Man.
the game is the game.
Mm.
But I think I feel like he might get pushed to or let me rephrase. I wonder if it's gonna be more him just realizing internally that, like, yeah, F it, or does he keep getting pushed by Lumen to the point where it's like, I can't take anymore. That's what I'm not sure about. Like the route for him to get to being an anti-hero if he goes that
Mhm.
route.
I think it's a bit of. I think it's going to get pushed a bit because Drummond says take it back to basics and treat them as they are. And we kind of get that scene, the next scene or one of the next scenes with him and Mark. Mark gets a glitch kind of visual, and then he's just like, "All right, I'm leaving work," packs up to go home, and then Milkshake's like, "Where do
So
you
it's like,
think
"Jup,
you're
so,
going?"
so six,
Hello,
you 6
minutes.
minutes.
What?
Oh no! So
Uh,
hold me
uh,
back.
uh,
Like, hold me
uh.
back.
You mind you while you're here, right?
Mm,
Mind you
mm,
while you're here, right? And he's
mm,
like sarcastically praise Kia. Oh, you want to be sarcastic with me, huh?
mm.
Did you and Heliar catch up? Hmm? Hmm? Did you tell her that you her Audi at the Oppo? I was like, whoa. He said the F word.
It's like Milkshake is angry.
You know when you hear like your parent or your teacher cuss for the first time in anger, and
Yeah,
you just sit up straight like,
it's
oh
like,
shit, they really mean business now.
yeah,
That's how I felt in that moment. I was
no, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he smacked Mark. Just like a little, like, do you know what you caused me?
Helena Egan, leader in waiting of this company. Have a restful evening. Damn. Shit.
Like, like,
It was like the way that
still polite. It's
yeah,
still,
right. And again, this is a second moment of great visual storytelling because they're standing in the elevator, and behind them you see the elevator door, the lines. So they're literally on each different side. There's a line splitting them. And then when he talks about, did you tell her that you her outie? Milkshake steps over the line, so it's like crossing the line into the person's
mm-hmm.
space. I mean, your space
Yeah.
now.
No,
And threatening
actually, I felt him enter his bubble. It's like, "Pop,
exactly.
like, we're
Great
in here."
visual storytelling to kind of have that kind of crossover. I was like, ooh. I'm curious to
That's
see
good.
where that goes. Um, what other parts you haven't talked about? Devin and Rickon have a little disagreement. This is a minor plot point in this episode, but it's a building up of what's
It's
come before.
definite. Something is coming there.
Something's coming. We know that they want to hire him to write an any version of his book.
Yes. Yes.
And Devin's like reading the stuff. The new version says, your sovereign boss may own the clock that greets you from the wall, but you get to enjoy its ticking and thus should be happy. And she's like, yo, You're telling people that they have to be stuck at work and be happy about it. Your book actually used to say, "Our job is to taste free air. Your so-called boss may own the clock that taunts you from the wall, but my friends, the hour is yours." And she's like, "It's complete opposite to what you're saying."
And he's that meme of, the money on the ear.
Yep.
He's like, "What?
What?
Sorry, I can't I can't hear you over
Ting,
this
ting, ting, ting,
stacks of
ting, ting, ting,
money."
ting. He tries to say, "Oh, maybe this is a Trojan horse," alluding to the fact that maybe he's secretly listening to Lumen, but he's going to place messages that's going to help him. But no, I think I like Rickon, but I think his ego leads the way.
Yeah,
He's a great writer. When he's trying to do the reading party, and when he messed up, he wants to start again. Make sure.
that's
I don't
like
know.
that's not how it works, sir.
So I,
He's
I
so silly.
I don't know where his story is going, and I don't know if he does mean it as a Trojan horse. But I think he and Devin are definitely going to be bumping heads. Over this.
100%. And I mean, Mark doesn't really like him anyways,
Mhm.
so it could just cause for a lot of family tension, which is just complicated by the fact that there's a kid. I mean, yeah, they might not split up or anything, but she's definitely not on board with what's happening, which is just going to be interesting. It might be like Lumen and Devin versus Rickon and Mark and gang.
And then he's like, "Oh, Nat said," and she's like, "Nat,
Nat?
what? Since when were you guys Nat?"
Where's the Ali? Yeah, isn't it Natalie? I don't.
What?
Oh my god.
Though I do hope, because I kind of like Rickon as a character, his kind of eccentric nature. I like it, and I hope
Mhm.
that he does mean it, as in like this is a secret path to him doing something bigger. And I hope that's the real. I don't want him to turn into like a unknown antagonist. I'm like,
Mm.
really? Go back to Mark. We talked about him kind of taking the juice by Ragabi, but now she's living with him, right? She's like
And
watch when she's not
requesting
looking
eggnog.
in his eggnog, and later on when she's refining his reintegration, he starts to hear voices. That's how the episode ends. When he sees flashes of
Miss
Miss Casey
Casey.
and even flashes of him being inside the Lumen building. So now it's fully kind
Mhm.
of grabbing us to go in. Where do you think it's headed next?
I mean, export hall, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's a short answer. All roads are leading to the export hall. I guess what I'm just wondering is, I guess with this show, I don't know I don't know the pace that they've chosen. I don't know if we're getting, the season finale is him opening his eyes in the export hall, right? I don't know if we see it. I don't know if we don't. I don't know if they're going to get overrun by goats next episode, right?
Oh, the
For all we
goat
know,
who
next
comes to
episode,
throw.
yeah, next episode could be a flashback of Irving's life when he was younger. It could be Bert and Irving, which is what I also enjoy about this show, right? Just to kind of be completely not even the deep end. It's like swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, and just but you're safe. Like I'm on my own boat, which has infinite drinks and food. But I don't know which direction the we're swaying. But what I mean, you just busted my head because the whole is the Miss Casey that we saw even like an android type Westworld world creature thing. It's just like, oh my gosh, more considerations. It's just it's so, but I'm happy to play the slow game. I'm not. It's funny when you're like excited to know, but I'm also not like rushing them. Like,
No.
yes, I want all the dots to connect, and I really feel like this episode kind of did a lot in just like I said, explaining some things and showing us that we are gonna get. I feel like we're gonna get like in the next two episodes, we're gonna have a lot of answers, um, and then just a powerful finale. But it's going to be hard for them to not just give and shed more light with everything that we see from now. So, with Mark, my question to myself is just, in the reintegration, how does the personality emerge? What's like, is it like, is it 50-50? Is it like a smooth, just you're a third new person? Because like, you're very right. Grouchy in Audi was all over his behavior this whole episode, right? So it's like, oh, or is, because technically Audi is the parent, the parent being, right? So maybe the any just gets absorbed, which is what I'm assuming. So yeah, I guess and then if you find Miss Casey, what happens? I think that's the biggest one for me. Okay, find Miss Casey, uh, and
Mhm.
like, what happens next?
'Cause Lumen could be like, "Oh, she signed this, agreement that says XYZ." So,
Yeah.
So what if you found her? What next?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't stop us.
Or what if her is not her?
Mhm,
Right? So like,
mhm.
yeah, no, her, no, that's just a clone that looks like your wife who has
Again,
her memories.
we've been reminded before about signed agreements,
Mhm.
right? Remember when Milkshake told Mark, "Oh no, you signed it. Don't worry about
Mhm.
it."
Yeah, yeah,
That
you
was in the
could, you could.
handbook that you signed. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's carry on. A couple of things that I like that we didn't talk about. I liked when they went back to the offices and it's now 3 people seating instead
Mhm.
of 4.
Little,
It's like, whoa.
little.
And even things that they did, like literal photoshopping Irving out of the picture. They didn't even like crop it in. Did you see the space?
It's like space. It's just like, look, we don't have time to go like find new frame. No, it's just like
Or maybe it's like it's a reminder. This is what happens. You mess with this.
so
Will disappear. Or like you said, like Milkshake said, every kind of evidence of your existence will be erased. I also like the fact that when they were doing the eulogy, the funeral, they went into the cupboard. And it's just like everyone has a mug face. It says like a prepped
yeah.
for funeral. So it's like, okay, this is the
Okay.
funeral closet.
Yep.
Let's get this like that.
It's
Uh,
like there are procedures here.
anything else? I would love somebody, and I'm sure someone would do it. At the end of the season, how many times people to find out how many times Dylan says the word in this show?
Oh my gosh. And not just how many times, the different variants and severed that he says, because he really has he has a very good usage of the word, I will say.
I don't give three
Uh,
dry about his outing.
that was the one. It's even the way his mouth moves. I don't get 3 dry.
Right, he says it with such conviction. Hey, what do you nerdies think of this episode? What do you think of the show so far? What are your conspiracy tin hat, foil hat theories? Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. We'd like to know all your theories. Also, you can send us an email, thenerdybunchpod@gmail.com. You can give us some recommendations for
Some love. Oh
movies and
yes.
TV shows. Yes, and some love. Hang in there. Hang in there, everyone. Um, check out some of our other podcasts. We're going to be recording the season finale of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man after this. We also have, what else do we have? I can't
I
remember.
feel like there's a lot. Invincible.
Yes, Invincible. We have that as well. And then we have a lot coming up in the next few months. Daredevil comes back soon. The Last of Us
Yeah.
comes back soon. So if you watch or plan to watch any of those shows, give us your opinions. Like I said, find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. Also, check out Nerdy Sports. Our Nerdy Sports team of Tim and Scotty talk all things sports. I always look forward to hearing their thoughts on different matches and competitions. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
My
And
name's
Team
English
Scotty.
Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review for Severance Season 2, Episode 5. How many more episodes do we have left? I don't know. I can't remember.
Isn't it 5? I think there are 10 episodes. So.
Oh, it's 10? Okay, so we are halfway.
Don't quote me.
I'm quoting you, quoting Andrew. Let us know if Andrew is wrong. I like to.
I'm sure Rodney will.
Oh, cold job.
Oh, you guys too good. Oh, well, I think it's 7 episodes. Wait, that looks wrong too. No, it might be 7. Actually, it might be 7 episodes. All right.
Oh, snap.
Or that's all I see online. Anyways,
Anyway,
we got a few more.
and as always, Andrew,
Keep it nerdy.
peace.